Now, it is a particularly stressful time at the moment, and Neil Shah is back with us from the Stress Management Society to hopefully help. Great to have you back, Neil.
Oh, it's wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
So, last time we spoke, we were talking about stress being quite heightened everywhere, but that was before the pandemic, and now it's 10 times, 20 times worse.
This is going to come as no surprise to you at all, but some research that took place recently has shown that 2020 has been the most stressful year in recorded history. It's not going to be a surprise to anybody listening today. But the impact it's had on our lives, the way we live, the way we work, the way we communicate has been changed so dramatically. We may as well be living in an episode of Black Mirror. That's how drastically and dramatically different life is today. In fact, Selina, if I said to you this time last year, in a year's time, many of us will be living under house arrest. You'll be told what to wear, what to do, who to do it with, when to do it. The global economy would have crashed. You're not going to be able to travel and move around. You would have thought I'd gone crazy, but yet here we are.
Yeah, if somebody had told me that at the beginning of this year, I wouldn't have believed it.
Absolutely. And if I sit here and say to you the next thing that's going to happen, we're all going to turn into zombies and aliens will attack, you'll say I'm equally crazy. But is it any more ridiculous than what we're experiencing right now?
I know. I didn't think I'd see this in my lifetime. But you have answers to stress. You last time we spoke, you talked about the 10-step stress solution. But presumably
Absolutely.
You've had to rethink all this, because this is, as we all keep saying, the word unprecedented.
Yeah, and I'm actually starting to take a bit of exception with the word unprecedented. It's not just unprecedented. I think the way I would describe it is abnormal. We are so far removed from the ways things used to be that most people are it's kind of like very much a fish out of water. And we've got a lot of people that have really very quickly got to breaking point. It's really important we start to take action in our lives, but also collectively to find a way to navigate through this. Now, one of the things that really concerns me is, yes, obviously we have to take precautions and we have to kind of react in a way that's going to best equip us to deal with the health risks. But I think we also need to be looking at this proportionately to all of the different risks that we're facing. Because, yes, obviously we need to protect ourselves in the face of the coronavirus challenges, but also, the mental and emotional challenges of this scenario. How many of us are finding that we are really struggling? We're feeling lonely, we're feeling disconnected, we're feeling anxious about the future, the loss of so many different aspects of our life. And I think these are the different things that we do need to consider over and above the reaction that we're taking towards the pandemic itself.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. One of the things is, sorry, I'm just going to fade you down a second because I'm getting an echo here. One of the things that obviously the UK are facing as of last night or as of today is another lockdown, and we're not sure what's going to happen here in the very near future. What would your advice be? Would it be to try and keep to a routine?
I think there's a couple of things. Before we go into specifics, most of the stress and anxiety that we experience are things that are generally either outside of our control or happening in the past or the future. So we're sitting here, getting stressed about the fact that I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't see these people, I can't turn up to the gym or whatever. And that really creates a lot of stress. Now, rather than focusing on what you can't do, what is within your control? How we choose to react and respond, how we feel, how we think about things is something that we do have some level of control over. And the majority of the stress we experience are because we're stressed about things that have already happened, like, oh my God, we've got into lockdown, that decision was made, this has happened. Or we're worried about or concerned or anxious about things that haven't happened yet. You're supposed to do this on the weekend, I really want to go to the gym, I want to do this, that and the other. So when we can start focusing on what is happening right here, right now, it allows us to be able to reclaim some sense of control. And that's where activities like mindfulness can be really, really powerful, being present in this moment with no judgment. Now, it was Mahatma Gandhi that said 90% of the things that we stress and worry about may never come to pass. So I think this is something that is a really powerful antidote, is to bring ourselves back into this moment we have power over. Planning, prioritizing, thinking about things that are important. But also, I think one of the things that tends to happen when we go into this anxious state and we are nervous and panicking, many of us find ourselves frozen into inaction. Rather than what we can't do, what can we do? Like, for example, in the UK, we are allowed to go out for an hour of exercise a day and leave our prison homes. So, there's an opportunity there to go out, walk the dog, get some exercise. Yeah, we might need to wrap up warm. It's not quite the same as it was in the summer when the sun was shining, but that's something we still have control over. So it's really now to start to consider, what do you have control over? What elements of your life are you still in a position of power over?
So try and focus on the positives, if there are any.
Yeah, and absolutely. The word power, when you look it up in the dictionary, quite literally means the ability to do or act. The person with the greatest power has the greatest ability to do or act, and the person that is powerless, well, that's basically the definition of a victim, where I have no power to change my circumstances. The way I see it, that through these challenging times, there's always something that we can do to empower ourselves, to support ourselves and the people around us. And that's really what we need to focus on right now is how do we get through this? How do we support each other through this? And the most important thing is, how do we protect the most vulnerable aspects of our society and our communities? There's a lot of people out there that are going to be really struggling with this. Older people, vulnerable people, people that got underlying health conditions. And it's really concerning for me that there's a lot of people that are facing emotional deprivation. We've got a lot of people that are experiencing extreme loneliness, and that could be older people, it could be younger people that are not able to meet up with their friends and family, students that are locked up in their halls. And I think that's a real tragedy for me in this situation, is that we're losing one of the most important aspects of being a human, which is social interaction, which is connection, true human connection. What are the ways that we can do that in a safe and appropriate way? I think these are the things that is really important for us to focus on. And also, to look forward is, how do we get through this? How do we find a way to the future that we all hope to work together to create? And I co-founded a campaign called Recovery, which is very much about us working together to find a way through this, rather than focusing on all the problems and shutting society down. Is, okay, we need to take on board that there are challenges that we're facing, but only through coming together and finding solutions can we find a way forward. Because the biggest concern for me is the mental health pandemic we're facing. Like, every one of us in some way has been impacted by this situation, whether that's our relationships, our finances, our work, our ability to spend time with loved ones. And that's the greatest tragedy that's come out of this year is we have been unable to live our lives fully. And what is life without living? And this is really what I want us to focus on, is how can we bring back the joy of life and the ability to create those human connections. And yes, it may mean for the short term we may need to look at, is there ways to be able to do that virtually? Are there ways that we can create sort of that stronger sense of community? In my community, all the dog walkers have got together and set up a WhatsApp group, and we kind of decide to meet up at the park at a particular time. And yeah, we do it in a socially distanced way, but it just means that I've got some human interaction which would be deprived of us otherwise.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the virtual side of it is a lifesaver for a lot of people. I mean, I haven't seen my parents for the longest time, and I terribly miss them, but I know that I can see them still, and they can see me over the internet. So things like Zoom, things like WhatsApp, I think they're all great tools.
Absolutely. And, Selina, I think there's two ways of looking at this. Number one, the things that we can do and we're able to do, but also the things that we may be drawn to that may not serve us. My colleague Laurie said to me a couple of months ago that when people come out of lockdown, they're going to come out in one of three ways. Either they're going to be a chunk, a drunk, or a hunk. Right? And I'll explain that. There are some people that basically binged on Netflix and got through all their lockdown snacks the first day they went to the supermarket. There are some people that may have been enjoying one or two glasses of wine more than they normally would have. There are many different ways that people have coped, but there are some people that decided to use this as a positive opportunity to spend time walking the dog, doing those home fitness workouts or whatever. And as much as that was said to me in jest, I think there is some truth in that we have had more people that are turning to, whether that be food or alcohol or other substances, as a way to be able to navigate this experience. Now, is it possible for us to look at, can we actually come out of this experience stronger, happier, healthier, and more resilient than when we came into it? Because we've been given one gift, and that is the gift of time. If we're spending more time at home or more time in isolation, there is an opportunity for us to be able to utilize that time in a way that allows us to grow, become happier, healthier, stronger and more resilient. And that's the one plea that I put out to everyone is, what could you do on a daily basis that will leave you, at the end of this experience in a stronger shape than you came in? Whether that's going to be that you're going to meditate every day, or you're going to get better sleep, or be able to spend an extra hour in bed because you're not having to worry about kind of your daily activities. Whether that's going to be you're going to spend some time engaging and reaching out to more vulnerable sort of people in your network or in your community. Whether that's going to be you're going to be reading or learning a new language or a new skill. I've decided to take up singing. I can't sing for the life of me, but I thought that could be a really interesting thing to do. So, that's something I wouldn't have done otherwise if I hadn't been given this time.
Yeah. Great idea. And I know that you've got your stress management website. If people want a little bit of help, or maybe even to contact you, is that the best one, or do you have a website for recovery as well?
Yeah, so for the Stress Management Society, they can visit www.stress.org.uk. Tons of free resources and information about how to recognize and manage your own stress. And if people want to find out about how we can navigate and get through this together and find balance in a world that there doesn't seem to be much, check out www.timeforrecovery.org. Both websites have got lots of free resources and the ways that you can kind of get involved and support yourselves and each other. So, we're really hopeful that we can return to some sense of normality and start living our lives fully as quickly as possible. Yeah,
fingers crossed. And good luck with the singing. Thanks for joining us, Neil.
Well, here's the thing, Selina. I'm hoping the next time I come on, I can be able to sing a song for you. So
that would be wonderful. Wonderful. A lockdown song. Cheers, Neil. Take care.